When we think about Saint Phalle's work at this time, it wasn't just that she was using a gun to make a work of art that was setting her apart within avant-garde circles. She was also doing incredible work with found materials within the tradition of assemblage. She very masterfully was collecting and using objects from everyday life within the composition of the work of art itself. This exhibition looks at the work of the French-American artist Niki de Saint Phalle and focuses on a pivotal decade in her career, the 1960s. Saint Phalle was born in 1930 in France. She grew up in New York City and began her career as an artist in Paris in the 1950s. On account of having dual identities, she was a part of avant-garde circles on both sides of the Atlantic. She worked with the Nouveau Realists in Paris, and she was also affiliated with her American contemporaries, including Jasper Johns and Robert Rauschenberg, with whom she collaborated frequently in this era. For so many artists of Saint Phalle's generation, she too was interested in questioning traditions. So to question tradition, you also have to question the fundamentals of what it means to make art and how you approach process, how you approach thinking about how to make an object. This is among a series of works she did. She installed it alongside a table filled with darts. So what she was doing in this really radical way in 1960 was asking you, the audience, to participate in the construction of the work of art. As with all of the works in this series, what she does so brilliantly is she takes everyday objects and objects that would have been associated with that person. So I love the detail in this work, for example, of the label. This is an actual white shirt from Saks Fifth Avenue. So one of the first works you'll see in the exhibition is from her Cathedral series, which directly relates to the artist's interest in questioning social structures and institutions, from architecture to organized religion. This is a fun way to start the exhibition because this is one of a group of works that were acquired by John and Dominique de Menil from the artist's first solo exhibition in New York. The de Menils supported the artist throughout her career, and as a result, we have an incredible group of documents in the Menil collection's archive and library. It includes correspondence, notes. It also includes a wonderful group of rare footage of some of Saint Phalle's shootings and works of art. When Saint Phalle was starting to think about audience participation, she certainly wasn't alone. This was a moment when so many artists are coming of age, thinking about the traditions of art history, thinking about the legacies of artists like Jackson Pollock, and thinking about how to bring everyday life into the work of art. Just after she had done the dart portraits, she creates essentially a session or performance behind her studio in Paris. She invites friends and colleagues to come and participate, and she borrows a .22 caliber rifle. And with that rifle, she makes what's considered some of the very first shooting paintings that she will go on to do for the next 3 years. And what the artist does is she creates, with a board, a compilation or assemblage of found objects that she attaches to the surface. Along with the objects, everything from shoes and plumbing and household objects. She embeds in the surface different containers of pigment, everything from plastic bags filled with paint to aerosol paint cans. And in some cases, as you're going through the show, you'll see other ways she's experimenting with containers for holding the paint. And the two large works on view, Pterodactyl in New York and Gorgo in New York, the artist is specifically looking at cinema at the time, specifically the wildly popular films about giant monsters destroying cityscapes. That includes everything from Godzilla to King Kong. You'll see an array of the way colored paint splatters, gushes, and falls against the surface of the white support. she moves from shooting paintings to a subject that is perhaps even more politically profound, and that is the representation of the female body. Saint Phalle was really inspired by her pregnant friend Clarice Rivers and the undulating curves of her body, and goes on to make a series of works called the Nanas. The Nanas are truly a celebration of a liberated woman, and one detail that I love to point out in this exhibition is that for many of the Nanas, she's named them after powerful women in Saint Phalle's life. So we have Vivian and Samuela and Benedict, among others. In the 1960s, as Saint Phalle continues to develop the Nanas, they also grow. And she starts thinking quite a bit about the monumentality of the female body. Quite simply, her Nanas are women taking up space in the world. In Green Nana, the scale is tremendous. And what she's done, quite remarkably, is she's played with the perspective of this large woman. The head is smaller, and for the artist, this was a way for us to feel quite small when looking up at her great body. In the last room of the exhibition, we have objects related to what's considered Saint Phalle's most monumental Nana. Han was a temporary installation at the Moderna Museet in Stockholm. And for the project, Niki de Saint Phalle, along with her colleagues, Per-Olof Ultvedt and Jean Tingley, created an 85-foot-long Nana that you could enter into. For this exhibition, we have pulled together some materials representing the project, including a model of Han from Stockholm. When Han was installed in Stockholm, it was a media sensation. They received over 200,000 visitors during the few months of its run. And as we know from so many recollections of the experience, it was something like a fun house. There was a cinema. You could climb up into the structure. You could peer out from the top of the belly of Han and gaze at the sort of topography of her undulating and colorful body. Quite famously, as the visitor, you entered Han through the woman's parted legs. And of course, it's not surprising that in 1966, such a provocative passageway would appear on news headlines around the world. This is the first exhibition to focus on this decade in the artist's production, and it brings together incredibly rare examples. Many works on view have never been shown in the United States, and we are excited that this exhibition will introduce our audiences to a completely unexpected side of the work of Niki de Saint Phalle.